Clothes don't make character, Clara. Pay up or step aside. Bridget Walsh said it, my half-sister. Her fingers were laced with Nathan Brooks, my husband, and my company's CFO. The courtroom was packed, cameras breathing. I didn't argue. I opened my notebook. I'm Clara Dixon, 32, founder of a sustainable fashion brand in Fargo. I build pieces that outlast trends and lies. They want my mother's house. They want my company's cash. They want my consent wrapped as family duty. Yvonne Perry, my stepmother, smiled for headlines. Ronald Dixon, my father, studied the floorboards. Bridget preached character, then billed me for hers. I chose precision over fury. I don't need innocence, I whispered. I only need to show their truth. They brought slogans to court. I brought receipts. Where are you watching from today? Tell me below. I grew up in Fargo with missing pieces. My mother, Helen Dixon, died too soon. Her sketches were lullabies and maps. Dad remarried Yvonne Perry before grief cooled. Then came Bridget Walsh, adored and untouchable. Affection found a new address without me. Big sister's help, Yvonne said, handing me duty. Bottles, tantrums, midnight shushing, stained dresses. If Bridget cried, I had failed. Dad nodded along, quiet as a stamp. I learned silence can sign documents. School didn't save me from the script. Projects split the same way. I worked, she sparkled. When I objected, I was selfish. Under my bed, a shoebox sanctuary. Mom's locket, a photo, a blue dress. Tiny floral stitches, patience made visible. One afternoon, the dress lay torn. Bridget tried it on, laughing. Threads snapped like little necks. It's just a dress, she said. I begged fairness. Yvonne blamed me instead. Dad agreed. I ate shame for dinner. That night brought clarity, not hatred. They weren't careless, they were consistent. Winter delivered a letter with my name. Mom's will gave me the house. A modest two-story lined with her designs. Yvonne's smile turned warm and sticky. You'll keep it for us, right? I said yes, chasing a home I lacked. They moved in. I kept the keys. I wanted family. I got tenants. Whenever Helen's house surfaced, the whispers followed. I worked nights at a boutique and sketched. Jillian Foster, Mom's friend, spotted the ember. Start small, dream clean, she said. I chose sustainable fabric and longer truths. Every seam a promise to myself. Family called it hobbies. I called it oxygen. Family taught appearances. I never signed their contract. Fargo gave me grit and reachable horizons. I rented a small studio with big windows. Daylight stitched courage into every seam. Jillian Foster taught me cleaner lines and cleaner supply chains. Start small, dream clean, she repeated like prayer. I called the brand Helen's Thread and meant it. Markets welcomed simple dresses with honest tags. Website orders trickled, then pooled into steady streams. I hired neighbors who cared about stitches. Then I met Nathan Brooks at a business fair. He asked gentle, precise questions about margins and waste. We dated under quiet Fargo skies, then married. Growth demanded sharper books, so Nathan became CFO. Do you trust me with this? He teased, signing. I did. I wanted to. I chose to. Yvonne pushed Bridget into marketing for family unity. Deadlines slipped. Captions misspelled. Photos cropped my story out. Relax, Bridget laughed. It's just clothes, Clara. I breathed, counted to 10, and fixed everything silently. Production ramped for spring. Press requested interviews I declined. I preferred fabric talking louder than my face. Tessa, my accountant, flagged tiny fees labeled BW Designs. Amount small, cadence steady, purpose unclear, vendor non-existent. A tick, not yet a hemorrhage. I asked Derek in IT to scan server chatter. He found emails between Nathan and Bridget, casual and coded. Consulting fees, hotel receipts, stolen drafts, launch timelines. A sentence that scraped bone, she's too busy to notice. I printed everything, hands steady, heartbeat unsteady. Yvonne's replies praised, keeping it in the family. Silence from Dad said the rest. The next morning, my feeds caught fire. Bridget posted threads calling me heartless and greedy. She won't support her sister's child, she wrote. Yvonne retweeted, family comes first. Crowds gathered where lies were free. I gathered the team instead. We locked accounts, revoked Nathan's access, documented every step. I terminated Bridget for cause, point by point. No shouting. Signatures, witnesses, timestamps. Nathan stormed in red and loud. You'll regret this, he said, slamming my desk. I regret trusting you, I answered, and meant it. Security walked him out past my mannequins. Heidi, the attorney Jillian recommended, read the file twice. Fraud, conspiracy, attempted conversion. she said, pen tapping. We'll file injunctions and preserve evidence immediately. I boxed the emails, the ledger, the recordings. I labeled spines like a museum of truth. Every box read, for court. That night, I stood in Helen's hallway. The house listened like it finally believed me. I locked the door from the inside slowly. Comment 1 if you'd plan in silence first. Comment 2 if you'd confront in daylight now. They built a narrative with noise. I built a case with proof. The courthouse smelled like polish and winter coats. Benches creaked as Fargo settled in to watch. Bridget squeezed Nathan's hand like a trophy. Yvonne adjusted pearls. Dad stared at nothing. Their lawyer smiled, already tasting a win. He called me bitter, selfish, unstable, unfit. I stood when my name was called. Martin, Heidi's litigator, stepped into the light. He didn't raise his voice, he raised paper. Exhibit A, he said, Helen Dixon's will. Sole heir, Clara Dixon. Property line descriptions included. Exhibit B, he said, server logs and emails. Derek's affidavit confirmed origin, timestamps, integrity. Exhibit C, bank records and routing confirmations. Tessa traced consulting fees to BW Designs. Amount small, cadence steady, purpose criminal. The judge leaned forward and finally listened. Martin mapped motive with a ruler's edge. Affair, collusion, embezzlement, attempted conversion. He pressed play on a recorded call. Yvonne coaching. Push Clara until she breaks. The gallery hissed. Reporters sharpened pencils. Bridget rolled her eyes, then read the room. Nathan stared at the table, veneer splintering. Their attorney pivoted to adverse possession. Martin smiled like a man measuring lumber. The will is explicit. Occupancy doesn't overwrite ownership. He slid property tax receipts across the rail. My name appeared every year, unmissable. Heidi passed me a pen. I breathed. Anything to add, Ms. Dixon? The judge asked. I kept it simple, like stitching a hem. I let them live in my mother's house. I hired them, trusted them, documented everything. I don't need innocence, I have proof. Silence folded itself and sat beside us. The judge delivered each word like cut glass. Claims dismissed. Property affirmed. Injunctions granted. Accounts frozen pending criminal review. Yvonne sagged. Dad finally met my eyes. Bridget forgot the cameras, then found them again. Nathan whispered something that didn't rescue him. Outside, the wind scraped past the columns. Reporters swarmed. I spoke like a ledger. No comment on family. We respect the process. Support small makers. Verify sources. Buy what lasts. Jillian squeezed my shoulder and kept walking. Heidi outlined next steps with surgical clarity. Martin packed binders like closing a museum. I stood under the flag and let it breathe. Justice wasn't loud. It was alphabetized. Inside, bailiffs posted orders at every door. I called the bank and confirmed the freezes. I called the shop and heard laughter again. I called the locksmith for Helen's house. Change every cylinder. Keep the old keys. The clerk said, on my way. I texted the team. Take the afternoon off. Then I walked to the river and exhaled. Snow drifted sideways, indifferent and honest. My phone buzzed. Bridget again, then Nathan. I let the screen go dark on purpose. They wanted my assets. They earned an audit. The orders went up before noon. Bailiffs taped copies beside every door. Court ink dries faster than apologies. I met the locksmith on Helen's porch. Familiar steps. Unfamiliar quiet between hammer strikes. He handed me a bag of old brass teeth. Keep them, he said. History belongs to you. Inside, rooms looked staged without the audience. No perfume of Yvonne's rehearsed sympathy. No Bridget selfies angling for my light. No Nathan's cologne pretending to be competence. I boxed what was mine and labeled everything. Sketches, ledgers, prototypes, the blue thread muslin. I left their trophies on the mantel. Dust collects truth better than juries. That afternoon, the bank confirmed every freeze. Suppliers withdrew from BW Designs decisively. I wrote letters my lawyer reviewed, then delivered. The house must be vacated in 10 days. Property left behind becomes donation by default. At sunset, they arrived like a storm already spent. Yvonne first, pearls dulled, voice sharpened. You can't throw family into the street. I'm not, I said. I'm opening the door. Bridget followed, mascara smudged but camera ready. You ruined my life, she said. You built it on mine, I answered. The rent is due in truth. Nathan came last, holding a manila envelope. He tried the half smile I once loved. It's a letter, he said. I'm sorry. Read it to your lawyer, I replied. He asked about the baby, finally. Will you help anyway, for the child? In court, you called me heartless, I said. Today, I will be precise. I'm petitioning for guardianship, I continued. The child is innocent. She deserves stability. You and Bridget deserve consequences. Silence cracked against the banister like ice. Dad stepped from the car, older, smaller. Clara, he said, a name like a question. I won't argue, I told him. I'm finished. They appealed to love, then to shame, then memory. I gave them water and the timeline instead. Keys returned, checklist signed, piles sorted. Every signature a funeral for the arrangement. Neighbors watched from lit windows without clapping. Fargo applauds with casseroles, not noise. 2 arrived that evening, still warm. We ate in the kitchen and didn't explain. I drafted a statement for staff and customers. We will not answer rumors with spectacle. We will answer with work and audited books. Orders ship Monday. Collections proceed as planned. Before bed, I walked the house alone. The floorboards remembered me without witnesses. I hung Mother's sketches one by one. Paper doesn't forgive. It preserves. I left the old brass keys on the desk. I turned off every light except the hall. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you close gently and lock completely. Approval is expensive. Boundaries pay for themselves. January arrived without spectacle. Just clean calendars and quieter mornings. Heidi filed the guardianship petition. The judge signed it without drama. Best interest of the child, she said. Law finally aligned with mercy. I set up a small room upstairs. Soft lamp, white noise, a quilt stitched from surplus samples. I called it Hope's Corner, then kept the name. Nights were measured by breathing, not emails. Bottles warmed. Stories whispered. Receipts slept. Work steadied, then surged. Tessa rebuilt controls like a safer spine. Derek sealed every gate, then smiled again. We hired 2 trainees from the college. Skills beat clout every single day. I met Jillian for coffee on Main. She brought a sketch of Mom's early dress. Reissue it, Jillian said. Call it Helen's Promise. We did. It sold out on pre-orders alone. The fund launched in the spring thaw. The Helen Dixon Fund, grants, mentors, legal clinics, bookkeepers. Women brought ledgers and bruised hope. We answered with rules and light. I saw Dad once by the river. He stared at the current, then at me. Take care, he managed. I am, I said and meant it. Bridget's sentence came and then the silence. Nathan pled to lesser charges and left town. Yvonne moved, loud in small rooms, then faded. Fargo forgave in the way it does. Not loudly. By showing up. By buying what lasts. By waving with a mittened hand. On a warm evening, I carried her upstairs. We paused at Mom's sketches in the hall. Your great-grandmother drew these, I whispered. People wore them and felt strong. At the window, the city blinked in soft pixels. I chose tea over headlines and turned off my phone. If this gave you steadiness tonight, like and subscribe. Share it with someone rebuilding their boundary.